Council, Virgil Thompson. For City of Crossville, Mayor James Mayberry. And for City Council, Mr. Jesse Curley. Thank you all for being here. If you would like to begin, we will do your introductory statements. You each have 1 minute. We'll start with you, Mr. Reagan.
My name's Ralph Reagan. I've been working with the City of Crossville now for over 30 years in the streets. I've been working with the city and county law enforcement for over 30 years, and I've been helping with progress of getting people houses, jobs, and I've been working with the court systems. I've been working with the health department and different types of medical need, and been working especially with the welfare of the people of the city for many, many years. And I've been a Crossville citizen all my life. And I've lived here ever since I was born. And I just want to keep working and doing the best I can to be able to help the community.
Thank you, Mr. Reagan. Mr. Wyatt.
Thank you. I'd like to thank all for coming out tonight and showing the interest in your city. I'd like to thank the Chamber and the Playhouse for hosting this, so maybe everybody can learn a little more about the county. I have the experience to lead the city in an aggressive, positive direction and make Crossville better places for mayor. I'd like to thank my wife, Krista. She's here tonight. She's been my best advocate and critic on the time I've been on the council. My biggest critic, trust me. You've allowed me to serve 2 terms on the council, one as mayor pro tem. All issues from corresponding agencies comes through the mayor's office. The mayor has to be transparent with the council and keep them informed in order for this thing to work. I look forward to helping lead a great community and making Crossville even a better place to live, work, play, and retire. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Wyatt. Mr. Harrison.
I'm Rob Harrison, and thanks to the Chamber and the Playhouse for putting this on, and you all coming out. I want Crossville to grow and thrive, and I think we're very close to being able to do that. I grew up here, went through the schools here, went away to Vanderbilt, and stayed in Nashville for a number of years. Worked at Cross Waterhouse, small business consulting, got to work with 35 different businesses in that capacity. And I think that kind of background would help me be able to help the city. I'm vice chair of the Hospital Advisory Board, which is a $200 million operation, and we have about 750 employees. The city's about a $50 million operation, and we have about 170 employees there, and I think I can help with that.
Thank you, Mr. Harrison. Mr. Gerd.
Hello, I'm Art Gerd. I'm an insurance agent with Gerd Insurance. I graduated from college from Tennessee Tech and started my career 27 years ago in Crossville. Since I've been here, I've been involved in the community in many aspects. First thing, I've been a Rotarian for 25 years. Former president of the club. I ran one of our largest fundraisers for many years called Rotary Radio Day, and we raised money for college scholarships and technical school scholarships and for our graduating seniors. I've also I've been on Ghana missions with the club on our International Water Well project, and I'm a 3-time Hollows Fellow. I'm a former chair of the Chamber of Commerce, and I've also ran the Public Policy Division and Economic Development, and I've been involved in other things in this community for quite a long time. So.
Thank you, Mr. Kerr. Mr. Thompson.
My name is Virgil Thompson, and proud father of 2 children. My son Landon, he couldn't be here tonight. He's playing basketball tonight for Martin. And lifelong citizen, K through 8 over at South School, graduated high school in 1998, got my wife in college at UT, graduated with a psychology degree, and been an entrepreneur since 2003, started a couple businesses and sold them. Right now, I'm a certified mediator on Mediated. And I believe that those skills, my mediation skills and my skill set in psychology would help me bring people together, use teamwork, and help Crossville go forward. I believe that Crossville is primed to grow, and I believe that I'm the councilman that can help get that done.
Thank you, Mr. Thompson. Mr. Mayberry?
Well, I'm James Mayberry, and I want to thank the Playhouse and the Chamber for hosting this event tonight. And I want to thank you all for coming. I'm seeking to be re-elected as mayor of the city of Crossville. My goal 4 years ago, when I ran for this office, was to bring cohesion to our city council and to hopefully develop a working relationship with our county government. I felt that if we all work together, we can achieve great things. We've been busy for the last 4 years. We've got some projects that are coming to fruition. Our industrial pad should be completed by the end of the month, and our recreation park early in the spring, plus others. I'm asking for your vote to continue moving our community forward, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Mayberry. Mr. Curley?
I too would like to thank the Cumberland County Playhouse and the Chamber for hosting this event, and everybody that has attended on this lovely rainy evening. My name is Jesse Curley. I've previously served 2 terms as a Crossville City Council member. It was a great pleasure being a conservative voice for the citizens of Crossville. My grandfather, Wendell Curley, served on the City Council in the late 90s. Observing his passion to improve the quality of living in Crossville was what inspired me to get involved in the community and run for City Council in 2006. After encouragement from numerous concerned citizens, I've decided to run again for the Crossville City Council. I love Crossville and don't want to see the quality of this city affected and taxes increased because of wasteful spending and bad decisions. As a council member, I've always stood for conservative, common sense spending and decision making. Also, as a council member, I've always represented all of Crossville equally. Through parents that taught me to be accountable for my decisions, working 3 jobs while earning my finance degree, and my experience gaining in the workforce, I believe I'm better prepared to make decisions that will positively affect the city we are proud to call our home. You get 2 votes during this upcoming city council election. I'm listed as Jesse Luke Curley on the ballot, and I appreciate one of your 2 votes.
Thank you, Mr. Curley. I will now read a statement from Sadie Hoover, who was not able to attend. And here we go. Hello, my name is Sadie Cooper. I'm running for City Council. I was born and raised in Crossville, Tennessee, and I attended high school at Stone Memorial while working at my coffee shop after school and helping Hoover Construction. I graduated high school in May of 2016, became a realtor in May of 2017, and then graduated from Rowan State in May of 2018. As far as my experience with the city government, most of you know I'm only 20 years old and don't know a lot. But I am a quick learner and ready to work hard and help our city all I can. I feel one of the greatest challenges Crossville is facing today is getting more jobs here. But what may even be harder is finding the people to work, which I think TCAT has done a great job with, the workforce. I think there's a word missing here, with making the workforce ready, I think. Students can take advantage of this with the Tennessee Promise, which is what I did with Rowan State, and graduate debt-free. I think the best way to promote economic development and tourism in our community is through social media networking and the Chamber of Commerce. That is typically the first place people look when they're new to the area and trying to find something to do. It also helps when people see the city and the Chamber working together to better our city. I believe a good workforce development starts at home. If children are taught to work at a young age, it continues through the rest of their life. I was raised with a strong work ethic, and as a Christian, I believe in standing for what is right, even when no one else is. I cannot predict the future for our city in the next 10 years, but I do know that I'm going to work hard for the city of Crossville, and I would love to have your vote. And now, we shall begin with our questions. We have 9 questions that have been prepared, and we will start, we'll start with number 1. Mr. Reagan, What knowledge and experience do you have of the operations and functions of city government that you feel would qualify you to be Crossville's next elected official?
Well, I sort of got messed up on the first question there, and I went ahead, but some of the things that I do know is that I've been working with the community for over 30 years in the law enforcement agencies and the court systems. I've been working as a volunteer chaplain at the hospital. I've been a volunteer chaplain at the prison system for over 30 years. And I've been helping with the housing, jobs for people who need jobs. We have seen a lot of men and women get off of the streets into job positions who are now productive citizens. I work with the health department on the advisory board for the Department of Health for 10 years. And I've been working now with the new programs to come into the health department to help people in different areas of their health. I've been working with the court systems and getting people off the streets on the drug courts. I'm now working with a veterans home to help the veterans that's living on the streets here in Crossville get off the street and get involved in a better project to get them a place to live. I also have got a THD, I've got a doctorate. I've been in 3 different colleges since I was 27 years old. I started back to school, and I got my doctorate when I was 54 years old. I worked myself through school and worked and did the ministry there on 4th Street and at the First Baptist Church at that time.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Wyatt.
Question is, what knowledge and experience do you have in the operations and function of the city government? I'm a 2-term council member, one is pro tem, as I said earlier. Mayor has to work with management to ensure legislation gets started and completed in a timely fashion. Crossville is one of 4 charter cities across the state that has its own charter and doesn't operate under state law. It's very complex. Probably took me 8 years to get through the charter and understand it. And I feel like I understand the mayor and council form of government. I've had a successful construction business. I've had a successful underground storage tank, an environmental business. I have the experience to help lead the community forward and smarter. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Harrison.
So, in the functions of city government, I've been attending city meetings, regular and special call meetings, work sessions, budget sessions for 20 years. Just observing as trying to be a good citizen. I think I'm pretty familiar with the issues that they face, and I have a business background that I think prepares me to be able to step right into this. We'll have to read the charter, and that is an important document, but also difficult. I've also been, for about 20 years, I've been on the City Planning Commission, and roughly 10 years, I've been the secretary of the Planning Commission. So I'm pretty familiar with a lot of the inner workings of the city and feel ready to go on day one.
Thank you. Mr. Gert.
I too attend city meetings, work sessions, things along those lines. And in my roles with the Crossville Chamber of Commerce, the Public Policy Division, we work with elected officials a lot, and same with economic development. I'm a business owner too, and as all small business owners know, a lot of decisions have to be made on a daily basis, sometimes with limited information, or sometimes for the betterment of your business. And also, I feel like being an insurance agent sets me up well for public service. Insurance agents, we deal with a wide variety of the public, where there are many people from many different walks of life and many different needs. We work with small business people to help them protect their assets, but solve their problems. And so I really feel like my career has set me up well for public service. And I'm also a Rotarian, and I think, we finish every meeting with a test. It's a 4 tenets. It's basically dealing with truth, fairness, building goodwill, and seeking ways to benefit all. And I believe that's one way, and that's a way I will, that's a guiding principle in my life.
Thank you. Mr. Thompson?
I first started, my first job, I got paid $4.81 an hour out of the state park. And I've worked my way up, and I know what it's like to make under $5 an hour. And there's a lot of people here in the city that, and the county, they're not making good wages. And I feel that I can connect with them. I feel that I can talk with them. I think that city government is one of the most representable governments in the United States, because you can see them at Walmart, you can see representatives at Walmart, you can see them at the gas station, you can call them up on the telephone, and that is why I'm running for city council, because I want to be able to represent the people of Crossville. I want them to be able to call me. I want them to be able to ask me and tell me what direction the county is going in.
Thank you. Mr. Mayberry?
Well, I've had 30 years experience in a couple of retail businesses, so I understand the profit and loss and how to try and stay in the black. But in the city, you have, it's a little bit different. You have mandatory infrastructure that you have to maintain, which is basically your roads, your water, and your sewer. These are mandated. You have to submit your financials to the comptroller of Tennessee, and if you don't have a properly operating balance sheet, and they come in and tell you what you have to do to fix it. The main thing to me is to promote a good quality of life. I'm more focused on economic and community development. But here again, you must work within your budget constraints to make your mandatory expenses be covered before you move into the other quality of life projects. For the community to advance and be proactive and to work together with the county, I have learned is of utmost importance for the community to move forward. We did a visioning plan across the county early on and got input from all the citizens all over the county as for their wants and desires for our community, and we work forward towards that goal.
Thank you. Mr. Curley?
I've previously served 2 terms as a Crossville City Council member, both staggered terms. I'm ready to dedicate the time needed to be a successful city council member. It takes a lot of time studying budgets every year, and it takes a lot of time studying agenda items to make sure that you get your vote right, or how you feel your vote should be. I have a finance degree from Tennessee Tech University. I graduated from there in 2002. I've been in the job market for 17 years, worked the last 15 years with a company called Swisher International based out of Jacksonville, Florida. I've always worked as a council member to influence the other members to make common sense conservative decisions, and the same as spending the taxpayers' dollars. Most importantly, I feel like what makes me ready to be the next elected official is I've always and will continue to take the time to listen to each and every taxpayer's cares and concerns. I think that's very important. That's why I'm back out knocking on doors again this year. And last, I feel like I'm the only candidate prepared to go to work on day one because of my experience, both on the city and in the job market. Thank you.
Thank you. We will start our next question with you, Mr. Wyatt. What do you feel is the greatest challenge facing Crossville and Cumberland County today?
Well, it's impossible to choose one, so I'm going to give you 2 or 3. We must increase our economic development and workforce development. And quit talking about it and have funding. Improve the tourism amenities. Finish our roads and sidewalk projects. Probably one of the most important is it's not gonna be long, we're gonna need 10 million gallons a day of water. We've got to increase our water reservoirs. Got a study ongoing, but that's gonna be serious in 5 to 10 years if we don't do that. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Harrison.
I think one of the greatest challenges is getting our best and brightest to stay here or come back here after they graduate from our fine schools. And I think if we can work on our economic development, we can bring a lot of those back here and also just raise the standard of living for everybody. And as we're doing this, we've got to be working on workforce development, starting all the way down to the elementary schools, I think, including work ethic and and I'm real pleased with TCAP for what they're doing and the school systems with trying to have a certificate of work ethics. And also, along hand in hand with this, is reducing the drug use. So that's all bundled up together, but we've got to work on all of them at the same time. I think it will take a while.
Thank you. Mr. Gert.
I see three things as being our biggest challenges right now. First is opioid drug use and its impact on our families and its impact on our workforce. We've made strides in this area. Our community came together, created the Cumberland County Rising, our anti-drug coalition, and they're making grounds. Our law enforcement community is making grounds. We also have to develop a job-ready workforce. We do have things going on right now in schools. Work ethic diploma standards have been created. Our school system's working with TCAT and to graduate people with a work ethic standard diploma. And we also, but to solve all these problems, this is not something that we can do on the city council by ourselves. This is going to take community-wide teamwork. One great thing we got going for us in this community is we're a volunteer-rich community, and it's everywhere you go. We're blessed with many people in this community that are volunteers who care about the community, who want to see us improve and grow. And I'll give one example. We're here at the Playhouse. The Playhouse has 400 volunteers, and the Playhouse couldn't run without all these people. So it's just one thing we got going for us in our community that it's great.
Thank you. Mr. Thompson.
I feel the greatest challenge facing Crossville and Cumberland County today is infighting. I think that we need to use teamwork and come together and start working together instead of arguing with each other. We need to bring the city, the county, school board together and start working together. I differ with these fellows a little bit on the workforce. I think that we have a wonderful workforce. I think that the reason our workforce is not up to snuff right now is because the jobs aren't ready. I've hired people in 3 counties, and Roane County kind of had the same situation. When the jobs left, the people stayed, and they got addicted to opioids. Cumberland County is not the only problem. It's not the only city and county with opioid problems. Roane County is pretty bad. Cookville has the same problem. It's just that they have more jobs, so the workforce is ready. So when they turn 18, they can jump in the workforce instead of having to be bored. And with that boredom, it says, oftentimes the devil's handiwork. If people get bored, they're gonna get into trouble, they're gonna get addicted to opioids, I believe.
Thank you. Mr. Mayberry?
Well, as Virgil said, the problems that we see here are not just here. We're not unique. It's all over the country. The discussion about workforce, the drugs, and so on and so forth. Early on in the last 4 years, we did 19 stops around this county, basically in a joint venture with county elected officials and Chamber of Commerce and some volunteers to ask the community what their thoughts were, what their feelings were about our community, what the situation was as it was, and where they would like to see things go in the future, and what their problems and complaints were. Of course, one of them was the drug epidemic, which is not just they're using drugs, it also creates theft, vandalism, domestic violence, child abuse, and so on. So that's a very big part of the problem throughout the county that we learned from 8th graders to 80-year-olds. The desire for better jobs, more and better jobs, is another thing that was of importance that we learned from that. Recreation for some of the youth that didn't have the wherewithal to get out to our recreation parks. And so we have been addressing those issues with the, as was mentioned earlier, the Anti-Drug Coalition, the new rec park that's going in at Garrison Park for the youth, and the industrial pad for future industry at our industrial park. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Curley?
So what I feel is the greatest challenge facing Crossville, Cumberland County today is water supply. So the City of Council, we're not only responsible for tax dollars, but we're also responsible for a water and sewer fund that you can't intertwine the funds. So we supply drinkable water to about 70% of Cumberland County. So ever since about 2000, council members have been discussing the expansion of our dam at Meadow Park Lake. I believe it's very crucial that we focus on getting this dam built, because without adequate drinking water, we can't market to these other companies like Flowers Bakery and things of that such, because we don't have the supply needs to meet that demand for those folks. And I believe not only that, that'll also help us grow some recreational opportunities and quality of life. Then, I think after we address that, let me touch on this. The Corps of Engineers, I don't know if we can pay them back their money and get them out of the way, but they have really held us up. And this water supply issue, I think, is definitely our number one goal that we need to meet. And then we can work on the number one reason why we're struggling not getting the restaurants and the jobs that everybody's requesting, and that is a stable workforce. Because I talked to Kurt Weigel the other day with Weigel's convenience stores. It's not, like the mayor said, it's not just Crossville. He hires in Crossville the workforce. We've got to work on it here. So thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Reagan?
We all see different areas of the city that have different problems, and one of the biggest problems I see and I work with constantly is someone told me one time you need to get, if you want to get rid of the problem, you go to the root. And the root to one of our biggest problems here is the opioid and methamphetamine problem. It basically causes health problems. It causes a lot of dental problems. So that puts a lot of work on the health department and court systems also. And it also puts overload on the police department here in Crossville, where they have runs all the time where they cannot take care of each one of the situations that's going on. And I'd like to see us take some time to be able to increase our police department to where we could be able to take care of the drug dealers who are on the streets here at Crossville and the methamphetamine makers, and get them off the street and put them where they need to be. And I believe one of the ways that we can do that is to increase our police department with a better force to where they can be able to take care of that. And that would not only take care of one problem, it would take care of a lot of problems in the court systems and the health department, and a lot of other problems that would take problems off of them.
Thank you. Mr. Harrison, we will begin our third question with you. Assuming the cost of local government continues to increase, what would be a good strategy for finding new revenue?
I think it's very important for us to work cooperatively with the county and the chamber and the schools, including TCAT and our own state, to grow our economy and try to bring in better paying jobs, and also to help our existing businesses. An idea I heard that I thought was pretty good from Brad brought up at the chamber was that we have a tremendous opportunity here because we're a low-tax state to be able to attract businesses from other high-tax states. And I think that's a tremendous opportunity there that we need to pursue as quickly as we can. And beyond that, I'd like us to bring in more tourism and really work on that in an organized, cooperative way. When tourism is, when a tourist comes here, they bring money and they don't require services, and they make the registers ring. Someone's heard. So growing our economy and more tourism would be my approach to this.
Thank you. Mr. Gert?
We need economic growth. We have to have it. We have to expand our tax base. The majority of our city's income comes from sales tax collections. So we need to create jobs, better paying jobs, and we need to get people shopping at home. We need to promote tourism. And one other thing, as a small business owner, I know we also need to be smart with our spending, but we definitely need to grow our economy.
Thank you. Mr. Thompson?
The question is, assuming the cost of the local government continues to increase, I would have to ask myself, why is the cost of government continuing to increase? I tend to be more on the conservative side, and it doesn't always have to increase. Maybe you can move money from one section to the other. But I believe with teamwork and strong industry, that will bring in sales tax revenue enough to offset any cost that is increasing.
Thank you. Mr. Mayberry?
Well, of course, as has been mentioned, the answer to the question is growth. And as been mentioned, sales tax is the largest revenue for the city of Crossville. But you do have to remember that half of that also goes to the school system, so the city only gets half of it. Last 4 years, we have made some advancement in growth of our sales tax revenue. 4 years ago, there was vacancies on Main Street, which are now there's 5 vibrant businesses that are located what were empty buildings. So you're getting your sales tax revenue from that. There were 2 shopping centers out by Crystal that just a while back looked like ghost towns. And if you've noticed, we've got a new grocery store on one, and then the other one is filling up. It's not totally occupied, but it's occupied a great deal. So there are some increases in the sales tax revenue, and those are the type of things that we have to look for. You've also got your property tax revenue, but the city of Crossville has a very low property tax rate. But the new retail development we're looking at, you've got the property tax that we're collecting on a field on the side of a road. When that development's done, with a $40 million investment, you'll be getting quite an increase in your property tax. Plus, you'll have your increase in sales tax revenue from that. So growth is the key to it, and we must carry on.
Thank you. Mr. Curley?
First, I believe that we need to make sure we are being conservative in order to prepare for the rising cost of government. Our insurance costs, they rise every year. Every year I was on city council, those increased. We need to continue to drive tourism. That's what the city of Crossville does best, I think. The city collected $8 million in sales tax, just like these other gentlemen told you. $5 million of that was part of the $8 million was collected from tourism. So then we need to evaluate between the difference between wants and needs when improving budget items. If you overspend on a want, then you will not be properly funded to invest in other avenues that we need to invest in, like economic development. In my business and how I've looked at evaluating budgets in the past, pennies make dollars, and then dollars make thousands of dollars, which can be better spent elsewhere. Second, I believe we need to apply for every grant available, but determine its quality. In past cases, I believe the city could have been better off and done the project cheaper without taking the grant money that we took.
Thank you. Mr. Reagan.
One way that I've been looking at this is you're always going to be working together with our resources we have already and letting the public know, and especially we hear about what Cookville has and what other ones have in this area. But one of the most important things is what does Crossville have already that we can increase to make that into place in the government to where we would increase the volume of the money that it brings in monthly. And what could we do to better their places that they have that they're working through now, like our parks and especially the businesses and the other things that we have here. We have wonderful resources here, and if we would just pull those resources together and we work together, then I know that we can come up with some ideals to help local government grow here in our own town. And look at other places and what they're doing and see what they're going to accomplish where they're at. And it's not wrong to look at other people where they're at and what they've done for their businesses in other towns. And we could say copy it, and it would help us grow in a better way.
Thank you. Mr. Wyatt.
Thank you. I hadn't heard anybody recommend property tax increases. I'm not going to either. In 2016, the council passed a 20% increase, and I opposed that. All it's done in 17 and 18 is add $1 million savings to the checking account. That's your money. I support the 3 to 4% growth we have every year. What that does is it brings in more property tax dollars, not more per person, more property tax dollars per people. So I feel like that's where you got to hang your hat in tourism.
Thank you. Our next question, we will begin with you, Mr. Gerndt. What is your plan to promote economic development and tourism in our community?
Well, first, I'll start with tourism. We have many things going for us in this community. For instance, we have this playhouse, which is a big draw, one of the largest draws of tourists into our county. We have a beautiful state park right in the middle of our city, or right adjacent to our city. We have several championship golf courses. So we're located in just a beautiful area. I mean, it's a great place to live. Our scenic views is about as good as there is out there. So we need to just build on that. I'd like to see more outdoor opportunities, like hiking and biking trails, things of those natures. And as for industrial development, our industrial pad will be ready in the next month. That's a great example of an effort of city, county, and chamber cooperation, and it's almost ready. We need to continue to work with the county and on more projects such as this. And we're going to have to acquire property, take out options on property, and plan for this. But we need to continue to look for industrial recruitment and having places to put these industrial industries when they come here.
Thank you. Mr. Thompson.
When I was in college, I sold windows door to door, and that was a hard thing for me to do because I didn't believe in the product. And Crossville has a good product. I believe a good product will sell itself. I think that the reason it's not grown as well as cookable is the lack of teamwork. My theme is teamwork, jobs, growth, and industry. With teamwork, and if we'll get out of the way, Cross will grow. And we need to quit tearing each other down, build each other up, speak positively about our workforce. Yes, there are some problems with it, but our children hear that as well. And when we talk about our workforce, we're talking about their parents. And we kind of need to be careful when we talk about that. And I believe that a government that governs best governs least. I believe that was Thomas Jefferson that said that. And I believe that Crossville will organically grow if we'll just get out of the way, because we have a good product.
Thank you. Mr. Mayberry.
Well, in industrial development, the chamber receives requests from industry all over the country, all over the world. They're looking to relocate in the state of Tennessee. If we have available properties that might fit that particular industry, then we send the information to the state for a shot at going after that industry. The industries want to know what you have in the way of amenities and or infrastructure to service the industry. We're in great shape around here right now with water, gas, electricity, unless we get a large industry, which was requested last week, that wanted a large supply of natural gas that our gas company could not supply. So we have to work on advancement in supplies to work for these particular industries, bring them in. The chamber has done a study, it's called a Younger Study, to find out what targeted industry would fit our community. And we will also go after these particular industries, marketing to entice them to look at our community. The city's also done a retail study and is working with a site selector to enhance retail opportunities to join our community. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Curley.
Regarding tourism, I think the city of Crossville needs to continue doing what it's done exceptionally well over the past 20 years. They need to continue to promote the Playhouse, Palace Theater, golf, state parks, softball tournaments, the new shooting park, and many others. As far as economic development, that needs to be a joint effort between the county, the city, TCAT, and the school board. Our number one problem today with job recruitment is a lack of workforce. The facts are we currently have numerous jobs that employers cannot fill today in our town. I believe we need to invest in all avenues, such as the Highland Initiative and the Rona Allowance, to get the most exposure to our town. I believe we need to continue pushing our marketing director to work proficiently with TVA and other resources. The city and the county also needs to have available funds to invest when a company is out shopping to relocate or expand. We need to invest more, I believe, than the minimum in our students to get close to preparing the workforce. Also, I believe we need to support and fund our airport properly. The airport is a huge tool in recruitment of industrial businesses, whether importing or exporting goods out of Crossville or flying employees into town. And most importantly, we need to work hard to protect the current jobs we have.
Thank you. Mr. Reagan.
One of the things that I would say is, about this is, I've asked a lot of people, do you know what we have in Crossville? Do you know we have a museum? Do you know we have this? Do you know we're the rock capital of the United States? And a lot of people don't know this, so I believe an advertisement would be one way of letting people know what we have and the resources that we have here, that even the builders, and there are a lot of industrial people that would like to use the rock here. They don't know that, a lot of them don't understand how to get it. We have a rock places all over Crossville that sells this merchandise, and they're trying to get their word out more and more, and I know the more that they sell, the more taxes will bring in to the town. But there's other ways that we could also do that, and one of the ways is by advertising what we do here more than what we are.
Thank you. Mr. Wyatt?
That's hard rock too here, when you put water line in. I listened to the governor's debate last Tuesday night, and both candidates stated, and I've got it on my phone recorded if anybody'd like to hear this, that if Tennessee is going to continue to develop as a leader in the nation, all communities are going to have to work together regionally. Both candidates agree with me. In our budget process this year, I recommended putting in money, I think it's $40,000, to do just this, with either community east or west of us. And it's going to have to happen in order to grow. Economic development is fueled by infrastructure in the city. I propose increasing and updating roads, water, and sewer. Getting behind the sports council and turning them loose with some leverage to bring in team tournaments, baseball, softball, pickleball, soccer, golf, which brings in tourism dollars, which is about $5 million of our $8 million a year. And the school has the same amount contributing to that. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Harrison?
Well, I think to promote economic development and tourism comes back to working together, the city, the chamber, the county, the school board, Rome State, TCAP, and the state. We had this for a time, and I'd like to see us get back to it. We do have a great product here. We have a great location. We're centrally located within a day's drive of 75% of the eastern U.S. And most of the U.S. population. And that gives us a natural ability to be located for company headquarters. And as far as tourism is concerned, I too think we need to support our engines of tourism, such as golf, sports theater, hiking, timeshares, etc. And just a side comment, I'm on the Tourism and Convention Visitors Bureau, and we got ourselves named the golf capital of Tennessee, not trying to short shrift the other venues, but we wanted to stand out in everybody's mind as the place to go for something, because everybody's got hiking and fishing. So that's where the golf capital of Tennessee idea came from.
Thank you. Mr. Thompson, we will begin our next question with you. What would you do to promote cooperation between the City of Crossville and Cumberland County government and the Chamber of Commerce?
This is a fairly straightforward question, a fairly straightforward answer. Communication, cooperation, teamwork, once again, learning the different personalities and figuring out how to best word your ideas. Sometimes wonderful communicators have bad ideas, and sometimes bad ideas come from good communicators. And I think my training as a psychologist and as a mediator, and being able to point those out and help us all work together, if I'm lucky enough to be elected, I think that it would help council be able to communicate and come up with a solution that is best for the people.
Thank you. Mr. Mayberry?
Well, cooperation between the city and the county government and the Chamber of Commerce, basically we just continue what we've been doing for the last 4 years. Every Monday morning at 9 o'clock, the county mayor, myself, and Brad meet at the chamber to discuss current affairs, up and coming potential problems and or opportunities. The first Tuesday of every month, the mayor, county mayor, myself, Brad, and the education director of schools, the Holly from Rome State Community College, Cliff from the TCAT, all meet to discuss the current affairs and what's up and coming and what problems might be, including the education community and what their needs might be and what their plans for the future are. We also have county mayor and myself meet with the director of the Fairfield Lake Board and a couple of board members on a monthly meeting. So communication is the key to get everybody working together to move our community forward. We've also had several opportunities to make trips to the state to lobby for local industry expansion and help acquire them a $1 million grant, and for meetings with the state's rural task force to present our programs. So I just basically continue doing what we've been doing.
Thank you. Mr. Curley.
We'll work in cooperation with county government and Chamber of Commerce officials to bring more and better paying jobs to our city and county is a point that I've campaigned on since 2006 when I first ran for city council. Working together is only beneficial to the city taxpayers we represent if elected. I will make myself available to come together with county officials and be willing to listen and negotiate. I've done so since my first term. Also, though, you must protect the city of Crossville and not get taken advantage of. We as city taxpayers pay a property tax of 59 cents per thousand of assessed value on our property to the city, and nearly triple that to the county at $1.71 per thousand of assessed value. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Reagan.
For physical growth, we need to be together. If the left hand doesn't know what the right hand's doing, then we're not gonna get any results. And as the mayor said, if, I would recommend that all three entities come together at least quarterly and be on the same page where we'll know what the other one's doing and what they're working with, where we can be on the same area of the work program with them. And, I don't know how many times a month they come together or whatever they do, but, I really believe that if we got together and worked together as one team member on each project that's going on, that we could be able to do more in the community and more in, especially inside the city, if we were working on the same projects instead of doing it separately and trying to do it apart from what the other one's doing. So let each other know what you're doing full-time, all the time, and try to be on the same page as you work together in these issues.
Thank you. Mr. Wyatt.
Thank you. I would promote doing meetings with three entities regularly. Back 4 or 5 years ago, I brought legislation to the council to purchase the amphitheater and the Snodgrass building from the county. They were going to tear them down. So I guess that's a partnership. It's a one-sided partnership, but that's a partnership. Currently, the city partners with the chamber and the county on the visitor center. I supported that way back when. The city continues to partner with the county on school sewer, SRO officers, 911 call center, animal shelter, the building pad in the industrial park. So I feel like the city and the county can work together on these kinds of things along with the chamber. I would support a county-city partnership with the proposed event center that's been talked about. The city and the county currently has a partnership to fund the chamber. So this is happening. We need to build on it. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Harrison.
So to promote cooperation between the city and the county and the chamber. I think it would be a good idea to have a strategic planning meeting and then have regular meetings together. In the 20 years that I've been going to the city meetings and the 4 months that I was privileged to be on the county commission, filling out Dr. Ivan's term, I saw very little cross attendance between the different entities. And I think just getting together would help build goodwill and better friendships.
Thank you. Mr. Gert.
Well, we have to work together. I see the city, county, and chambers, it's like a three-legged stool. We need all three components supporting each other if we want to truly have economic development. I serve on a joint economic community development board, which is an entity that has all three components together, the city, county, and the chamber, and other representatives. And it's one of my favorite boards I've ever served on because it's just a board where everybody's pulling in the same direction, working for the same goals. It's formerly what's called like the 3-star, the board was formed by the 3-star program the state had. And it's just a rewarding experience because you do see we've gotten some things done. We've been able to help our law enforcement, we've been able to help the schools with grants, and also kind of get the city, county, chamber, and things like information all together and out to each body. And it's just amazing what can get done when nobody cares who gets the credit. It's just a great organization.
Thank you. Mr. Mayberry, we will begin our next question with you. What do you consider to be the top 3 capital projects that need to be addressed in the next few years?
Well, the capital projects, the biggest capital projects you have to deal with, of course, are your infrastructure needs on your water and sewer, which are an ongoing capital project. You're constantly having to replace old water lines. We have storm sewers that are leaking into our sewer system, infiltrating our sewer system and overflowing our sewer plant, which is causing need to have increased capacity at our plant. We're in the process, as we speak, of repairing those particular leaks as well. We're constantly having to upgrade the sewer plant and expand on it. We have word from the Tennessee Department of Environment and Conservation that they don't want as much of our effluent or treated water being released into the scenic Ovid River. So we have to look at different ways to release that overflow, which is going to be another major capital expense. Growth will cause need for growth of industry, and housing will cause need for increased capacity in our water and in the sewer. So we need to work on interconnectivity or possibly some kind of regional plan and/or raising the dam at Meadow Park Lake or something to come up with a little more water source as time goes on. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Curley.
So the top 3 capital projects that I believe that we're going to have to address in the next few years, of course, I've already talked about the Meadow Park Lake Dam expansion. When you grow your water usage, that's going to lead to the next problem that Mayor Mabry just touched on, is you're going to have to look at expanding your sewer plant. We've already been in the process in the past of doing studies and looking at the cost, and it's not going to be cheap. It's the facts of life on there. Sewer plant expansions or land application, ways of getting rid of the sewer effluent, there's just no cheap way of doing it. But that's the price you pay for growth that we're asking for. Also, I think roads and sidewalks are something we've got to keep addressed. I think we've done a fairly good job keeping up the roads. I just wish we'd pay a little more attention to our sidewalks. The county road department collects state dollars from gas taxes, and the city has never received any of these funds. I think we need to start pushing the state to give us our fair share of these funds in the future.
Thank you. Mr. Reagan.
If we're going to grow, of course, we're going to need more resources to take care of our new growth. And that would be underneath the water and the sewer system for the new people that will be coming, that we're looking forward to coming to one day. And of course, the third thing I believe that we need to be really critical about is the city police department and helping them the best of their abilities of what we have to offer them, where they can help us keep safe at night also.
Thank you. Mr. Wyatt.
Thank you. We gotta finish our roads and repave our roads. We've been dealing with T-Dot for 2 years on Main Street. We've got to finish those sidewalks and LEDs so that we can get that paved, hopefully, and stay on track for 2020. Should have already been done. We've got to increase our water and sewer plant capacity. No question about that. Prepare the amenities at the rec park to continue our sales tax revenue coming in. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Harrison.
I think the biggest thing is the regional water supply solution that we've talked about plenty here. And continued improvement of the reduction of getting stormwater into the sewer system, which overloads the existing capacity, and before long we're going to have problems with the Ovid Wild and Scenic River. They continue to get more stringent, so we've got to be working hard on those things and working with our partners and other utility districts to get a regional water supply. And I think the idea of having impoundments where you take water out of streams at high flows is a great one. That's something Crab Orchard's working on. I'd like to see Fire Station 3 finished to provide better fire protection for Holiday Hills and this end of town. And something completely different here is I'd like to see us working on much faster internet speeds for Crossville and the county. I think that's one of the new technologies that could really help us boost our economic growth.
Thank you. Mr. Gert.
We definitely need to invest in the necessities of life, the better roads, adequate water and sewer, our core infrastructure. Once this is done, our economy will be able to grow, and after our economy grows, we can then invest in our people and our quality of life.
Thank you. Mr. Thompson.
Well, everybody's touched on it. We've got to have more water. About 2 or 3 years ago, Bledsoe County had a terrible drought, and they were in quite a pickle. They actually wanted our water, and they had to bring in a portable filtration system. And if we don't increase our water supply, we're not going to be able to grow at the rate that we need to. If we got some kind of food manufacturing plant, they require a tremendous amount of water. And we're going to need water. Our sidewalks, they're just not up to snuff, especially downtown. The signage downtown needs to be uniform. Needs to be pretty. And that kind of ties into the tourism. A lot of people, when they drive down Main Street, it's unattractive to them. And we need to make downtown attractive to the people. That's why we can't get some doctors here. The wives just do not like Main Street, and they can't get the shopping done that they need done. And
Thank you. Our next question is, Crossville's Main Street is the heart of our community. What would you like to see happen to our central business district? Mr. Curley, we begin with you.
First off, I believe all of Crossville is the heart of our community, and we need to evaluate all of Crossville's needs equally. I believe the question should be an answer to the effect, are the candidates willing to spend $14 million downtown if elected and impose a 60% tax increase to pay to add debt service on the downtown beautification project? I'm not for two reasons. The majority of the taxpayers do not support this project, I've discovered while knocking on doors in my last two elections. Secondly, it's a minimum of 35-cent tax increase. The facts show that a downtown beautification project will never bring growth, jobs, chain restaurants, or improve our workforce. This should have been placed on a referendum 10 years ago, just like the revitalization of the Palace Theater. I've supported and will support again this going to a referendum and let the taxpayers decide. I very much support downtown, but just as equal as the rest of the city of Crossville. The amphitheater was a project that I spearheaded as a city council member. It made sense, it has highly been used, and it did not cost a great deal of tax dollars. The amphitheater has increased the foot traffic and the quality of our downtown. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Reagan.
We all have different opinions on downtown, and I've lived here all my life, and one of the things that I see that's downtown is I like to see a parking center down there. Most of the people that's tourists here who come through, they don't have anywhere to park because the parking places are being used by the people who work there or are doing downtown. And I can understand they don't have anywhere to go. I'd like to see one day that we could have a place for a parking garage where the visitors can come and they can still enjoy the downtown area without having to walk so far. And I noticed every time we have anything done on that, downtown, we block it off or whatever, a lot of the people have to walk 3 and 4 blocks just to get to it. So that is one of the biggest areas I see downtown. But we do have a beautiful downtown area. I've lived here and I've walked it many times, and I enjoyed my downtown area. And I do see that one of the biggest things that we have, and I know we have a lot of other issues that go on with the beautification. I'd like to see downtown beautified. I'd like to see it to where all the tourists would like to come down there and be able to see the beautiful place we have and the resources we do have here, and what we have to offer other people to come through our Crossville. The parking is one of the big issues I see.
Thank you. Mr. Wyatt.
Thanks, sir. After our sidewalks and lights are completed downtown next year, hopefully, we've got to stay on TDOT to make sure they stay motivated to pave our 127 north from the interstate to Homestead. Following that, we need to follow up on our parking acquisition plan that the city's looked into, and we've got several. I've tried for a year now, haven't got it through yet, I'm not done, to buy the old Handleville property, which will serve two purposes. It will create your parking, and it'll clean that mess up over there beside a $8 or $9 million library. So that it'll be up to downtown businesses to do it from there. That ought to give them a good start.
Thank you. Mr. Harrison.
As far as our central business district, I would like to see us continue to work on that. And I think that we're big enough and strong enough as a city that we can work on that and work on other projects like ball fields, etc. And I want to continue to encourage businesses to move in. It's really exciting to see several new up-and-coming businesses relocating to downtown. And I too want to work on more parking. I think in a long-term sense, we need to be looking at, as a city at things like the Handle Mill and other areas a block or two away from Main Street to be able to support our downtown merchants.
Thank you. Mr. Gert.
I would also like to see our revitalization project efforts continue. It doesn't have to be terribly expensive. Tennessee is Crossville is a Tennessee downtowns community, which allows for grants, for facade grants for businesses and things right downtown. But having a vibrant downtown is important to economic development and tourism. It's important to recruiting industry. It's important for employers to recruit talented employees that are the hospital and doctors. We're fortunate in this town because we have a pretty vibrant downtown. I think I'd like to see it a little. It could look a little bit better, I guess. But but as far as our business community, we've got some creative people doing good things down Main Street now, and Main Street's popping. I've traveled a lot. I've been to a lot of communities where downtowns are struggling, or there are vacancies, things like that. We don't have that problem, that's for sure. And that's thanks to people like the DCI group. They are tireless volunteers working for free to improve our downtown area. And we just need to find ways to support them because they're all doing great things.
Thank you. Mr. Thompson.
Well, when downtown Crossville got started, I worked with Tanya Hench, and she's a lifelong friend. But downtown Crossville has expanded. I remember in the early 90s, Crossville used to stop at basically the Sonic, and then there was nothing. And I think that the Central Business District has expanded. It kind of goes over to the John Smith Pharmacy, to kind of the old Art Circle Library, all the way out to the old Kmart. And there's just a small amount of tax revenue that comes out of downtown Crossville. I would like to see that increase. Not a tax increase, I would just like to see the businesses increase. But I think that we need to focus also on the facade grants not only being accessible to the people in downtown, but also in the surrounding business district, like up on the truck route and stuff. Not just in downtown.
Thank you. Mr. Mayberry?
I'm going to kind of follow up on that just a little bit. The downtown designation that we've received from the state of Tennessee does go over to the old library, Webb Avenue side, and then over to the truck route. So it does include the side streets off of Main Street. I agree that Main Street, or the downtown, is the heart of the community. You can look at Franklin, Tennessee, which is one of the top 100 most popular communities in the state, and of course it's their nostalgic downtown that makes it so appealing. I'm pretty happy with what's occurred in the last 4 years with our downtown, with the new shops that have opened up, and there are no vacancies like there were, as I said, 4 years ago. And then I think it's Dr. Galloway is showing some progress up on the corner of Lantana and Main. The original discussion on revitalization of downtown was extreme, with brick pavers at the crosswalks and speakers in the light poles and things like that. That has been downsized a great deal, and the expenditure is a whole lot less than it was before. The only thing that survived from that original project, which the city had received $4.5 million in grants and funding for, was the water line, which has been replaced, which was a 100-year-old water line down Main Street. The rest of those grants had to be returned. We've now recently received another grant that we can move forward back on with our sidewalks. And as was mentioned earlier, TDOT's agreed to do the paving after that's done. And the city has approved to do LED decorative street lighting for that project. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Reagan, what would you like to see done to address the needs of the youth in our community, including their education and workforce development needs?
I've traveled several places, and when I go, I've looked in a lot of different communities, and one of the areas that I looked at is in life care centers. And I saw a lot of life care centers that would be able to help the youth, and not only the youth, but the elderly people and the other, all ages groups. And it would be not only used for recreation, but learning and spiritual growth for our youth, using retired pastors, teachers, officers, and businessmen and women to tutor our youth. There's a lot of single families in Crossville, a lot of youth that are walking the streets, walking around, and I feel that if we had a lot of the tutors, we have, like you say, you got 400 people here that volunteer. I have a lot of volunteers. We have a volunteer work-based people here that want to do so much more for this community. We have one of the people here who invented the Hubble, who said that he would love to come and help tutor people, the youth of our community, and what goes on in that Hubble. And of course, not only that, but the teachers and the police department that help retired people, they would like to help. I have a lot of people that said that they would like to help if we had a youth center here for children.
Thank you. Mr. Wyatt?
I would support helping fund and helping Rome State build what is desperately needed is a chemistry and science lab on campus. That's got to happen before when we quit. So we'll quit having to go to Anderson County and Kendall County for those classes. I would support helping TCAT and fund, add programs such as another nursing program that are desperately needed. I cherish our youth, and we must stand behind them and do whatever it takes to try to keep them as many as possible in Crossville. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Harrison?
I agree with the chemistry lab and science lab comment. I've been trying to get the hospital to become a lead supporter of that. It would greatly help the community, and it would help the hospital. And just on a more general note, I was very impressed with when Dr. Bell came from, he's the retired president of Tennessee Tech, and he talked about all the things that they had done going back to the early 90s of trying to reach out to students where they would try to get businesses to go and have students, even middle school students, come in and see the kinds of things they do and try to develop relationships. There's a whole lot of things we can learn. Somebody earlier said we should try to look for best practices all over the country, and I agree with that.
Thank you. Mr. Gurnt?
One thing I like is there's a partnership right now between the United Methodist Church and Martin Elementary School. It's a deal where the church has found volunteers to work in the school. They work as tutors, they mentor, they just provide teachers aid and support and resources for teachers. Families are different today. They just are, and not all children have opportunities for good, positive role models. So I think this is an excellent idea. I'd love to see this happen throughout our school system. Businesses get involved, more churches get involved, and this is one way our community can really help ourselves. And also, you know, just as far as our work ethic and things like that, and workforce development needs, you know, the school system is working on our work ethic diploma, and TCAT and everybody. All these people have all this stuff going on right now, and so I think that's going to be very helpful for you too.
Thank you. Mr. Thompson?
Well, first of all, the youth must have something to do. Once again, idle hands is the devil's handiwork. And with growth in industry, they're going to bring in, we had a skating rink shut down, which was sad, but they're going to bring in more things like laser tag. We have to drive to Knoxville to entertain our children, and I hate that. I want to be able to stay here in Crossville and be able to have fun with them here. I don't want to have to drive to Cookville to enjoy their splash pad. And also, we have to stop talking about our workforce and how we have an opioid just riddled workforce. Because we're talking about their parents, and they hear that, and they hear these forums, and they don't need to be put down, they need to be lifted up. And the youth, they don't just listen to what we do, they watch what we do. And we need to be good examples. We need to be good family men or women, if Sadie's like. And we need to be good Christian men. And we just need to go forward, use teamwork, and be good examples.
Thank you. Mr. Megger.
Well, the first thing about our youth that I would like to see is that our parks are clean and drug-free, and it's a place where all the youth can go and enjoy without having concerns from that aspect. But I'm excited to see the school system and the private sector working together, as has been mentioned up and down through here with the mentors and the tutors. The Methodist Church and the adoption of that school is a model program, and I'd like to see other churches get involved in the same type of thing. Kids on the Rise is another program that's got 40 to 50 mentors that take care of mentor with children who are from homes described as an opportunity gap, and they're referred by their guidance counselors. And these students, if they go through the system all the way through high school, they're awarded a 4-year scholarship. And a lot of these students continue, their mentors join them at their weddings and as life goes on. Ucumberland County Schools is working on a work ethic diploma to ensure basic skills to enter the workforce. And along with that, our TCAT will grant credit for that to go towards an industrial readiness program to continue their training in entry-level workers. Along with it, the Promise program and the free 2 years tuition that's offered to all graduating seniors, I think we have a good future for our youth.
Thank you. Excuse me, Mr. Curley.
I believe I would like to see us sit down with the county and reevaluate a recreation center, whether you place it close to downtown or on the property on the backside of the rec park that was purchased years ago to address the needs of a recreation center. Also, I think we need to invest more in our students in order to better prepare our workforce so we can get the new jobs and the chain restaurants that everyone is asking for. To reiterate, we have jobs that employers can't find workers for, and until we fill these jobs, it's hard to sell Crossville as a destination to locate a new business here. Also, I believe, with kind of Crossville and Cumberland County becoming the retirement destination that we've become, we need to put an emphasis on vocational trade jobs and their opportunities to our youth. There are more opportunities and higher wages for trade jobs than for those that receive a college degree and return back to Crossville. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Wyatt, we begin our final question of the evening with you. What would Crossville look like in 10 years if you were to be elected?
It would continue to be in the top 100 places to retire. It would remain green and get greener, hopefully with a partnership with the county on a better recycling program, so the tipping fees don't get higher than our property taxes for disposal. No windmills, which I opposed, no smoke, clean air, and clean water. And most of all, everyone wanting a good job. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Harrison?
In 10 years, what I'd like to see is our current businesses be bigger and employing more people. I'd like to see new technologies here that we haven't even thought about, internet-based type businesses, ceramic subspecialties, all kinds of other opportunities that are being envisioned by the younger workforce study. And just many more opportunities for a more diversified economy.
Thank you. Mr. Gurn?
Well, if I have anything to do with it, we will be achieving our potential. There will be more jobs created and more opportunities for our graduates to stay home in the Crossville. Families will want to remain here and more businesses will want to invest here.
Thank you. Mr. Thompson?
I'd just like to reiterate that Crossville has a wonderful workforce. And I'm tired of people putting it down, and I'm ready for industry to come in, because I think that when people say that Crossville has a bad workforce, it's a scare tactic. It keeps businesses out. And if I'm elected, I will not put down the people of Cumberland County or the people of Crossville. In 10 years, we will have a beautiful downtown. We will have more industry, more growth, more restaurants, and most of all, teamwork. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Mayberry?
I'd like to see a vibrant, warm, inviting downtown with people walking around everywhere like the pictures you see from back in the 40s. I'd like to see more shopping and eating opportunities with our parking lots full of cars and no need to go out of town for variety. I'd like to see our ball fields all in top-notch shape, our soccer fields, softball, with tournaments going on constantly. More trails, more greenways, for more biking and hiking. Even an event center that will handle venues that we're not capable of handling now with the properties that we have. I'd like to see more arts activities and events. I'd even like to see the mural down by Mitchell's restored. I'd like to see some more motels to house all these new visitors that we're going to have. I'd like to see everyone working together to make things better for the community, and that will make it thrive, and we'll breed more growth. And yeah, I'd like to get those big trucks off Main Street too.
Thank you. Mr. Curley?
I first ran for my first term 12 years ago. 12 years later, Crossville is thriving, has an extremely low unemployment rate, and just had the highest sales tax collection in history. People who visit our town brag on the quality of living we enjoy here every day, and then they return the next year to visit again. With common sense, conservative spending, and decision-making, after 10 years, Crossville has grown jobs and retail in the area of North Main Street and Interstate Drive. Our city will have new neighbors that we can build lasting relationships with, and our youth will not be paying for the planned wasteful spending from the other candidates. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Reagan?
Joe, they've said a lot of different things here about what would happen in 10 years. One of the things I'd like to see, they've talked about the old Handle Bill and all the different things that's going on downtown. People may not realize it, but there's people sleeping in that old Handle Bill every night underneath the covers of it. I'd like to see in 10 years that each one of those, like Governor Haslam started back years ago, for the homeless to have a house to live in. And the resources that we have here in Crossville could also be allotted for that in a lot of areas to help the homeless in a lot of ways. I'd like to see safe streets, safe, not moving back going out. You could go downtown on Saturday night and it would just be rolling with people. They would be people coming around, they called them cruisers at that time, and they even had a time where they had to stop it because there were so many, but we don't see anyone down there like that anymore. I'd like to see the town get back to where it used to be, where the people are friendly, people are happy and joyful and downtown and having a wonderful place to go. And I'd always like to see the economical growth grow. I'd like to see more jobs in Crossville for the people that are looking for jobs. And I'd also like to see better parking and better lighting in downtown where we can have safer streets.
Thank you. Gentlemen, I have been informed that we are running ahead of schedule. So when we get to as we are about to get to our closing statements, you may, if you wish, take up to 2 minutes to make your statement. And since the entire evening has proceeded from stage right to stage left, let's shake things up a little bit and start with you, Mr. Curley. Closing statement.
Closing statement. Once again, I'd like to thank everyone for coming out tonight, the Chamber and the Cumberland County Playhouse for putting this candidate forum on. I love Crossville. I'm ready to go back to work. If you get 2 votes during this upcoming city council election, I'm listed as Jesse Curley on the ballot, and I'd appreciate one of your 2 votes. Thank you, and be safe going home tonight.
Thank you. Mr. Mayberry?
I too want to thank y'all for coming out here tonight. It's been informative for me from the point of view of some of the other candidates. You know, the workforce has been discussed quite a bit tonight. And one thing about that just recently hit me a while back is, as I mentioned earlier, we are not unique. The same problems that we have and concerns are all over the country. But there has been a recent expansion of a local business here that has increased their employment by 400 because they shut down another warehouse in another state. So, is our workforce that bad? There's another plant that is shutting down an operation in Spartanburg, South Carolina, moving that production here. There must be a reason, some idea, we must be doing something right for those industries to move here. I think Crossville's improving a great deal. I think in the last 4 years that the cooperation between city, county, and chamber has been paramount with our trips to Nashville to lobby for these particular industry growths, to lobby for road improvements, traffic lights. It takes a while to get anything done in government. And so we're just now starting to see these activities come to fruition with the completion of this industrial pad, that hopefully that 20-acre site will generate some new, better paying jobs for the community, which will lift up the whole community. Our recreation park, the splash pad, and the playground, handicap accessible, will be ready in sometime in the spring for our youth, downtown youth, to be able to enjoy some recreation. The Anti-Drug Coalition has been formed and are working on becoming a 501c3, and we're working on some grants to start producing some major benefits for our community. I ask for your vote to continue forward with the things that we've been doing. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Mr. Thompson?
Once again, my name is Virgil Thompson. I'm the guy with all the red signs. And first of all, I want you to know that if I am elected, I want to give you my phone number so you can call me at any time. My number is 484-8811. And please call me if you have any concerns, questions, comments, complaints. I'd like to thank the Chamber for putting this on. I'd like to thank the Playhouse for letting us stay in on this rainy night. My wife and I love Crossville. She's the marketing director over at the hospital, and all she does is sell Crossville. She tells me ideas. She's the one that gives me the best ideas. And I would like to thank her most of all. She is a wonderful woman. And I look forward to working together with whomever is elected. And I look forward to representing the people. And I just want to thank you for the opportunity to speak. And I wish you all have a good night. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Gurn?
I too would like to thank the Chamber. I'd like to thank the Playhouse for putting this on. A wonderful event. I'd like to thank everybody for coming out to listen to us and our issues. As I said before, I've spent 27 years, I've had 27 years of service in Crossville. If I'm elected, I will bring the same energy as I've had to City Hall. I'm a team player. I'll be a team player, and I'll make every decision knowing that I want to make you proud of the work that we're doing, and I won't embarrass you in any way. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Harrison.
And thanks to the chamber and the playhouse and everybody. And I want to ask you for your vote. Someone wisely points out there, you get 2 votes for the council, and I'd like to be one of them. And just more broadly speaking, as I think about my approach, what I want to do in my life and my work on the council is make the pie bigger. There are some people who seem to think sometimes that it's a zero-sum game, so if I win, then you lose. But I think we can work together and make the pie bigger for everybody. And overall, I just want to see Crossville grow and thrive, and to make everybody, especially our workforce, better off economically, and also to grow us as a community, grow together more as a warm, friendly community that people are remarking all the time to me how nice people are here, and I want to continue that. And I know we can do it if we set our minds to it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Mr. Wyatt.
I'd like to thank you folks for coming out. I want to share this with you. I'm pretty excited. Tomorrow afternoon, we have a work session with another potential retail development, which I'm pretty excited about. I'd like to thank all you guys for participating in this stuff. I'm ready to serve as your mayor. Crossville needs a boost with leadership and a good economy. Stated early in my opening statement, we've got to have a mayor that will work transparent with his council and keep them informed. Make Crossville better and smarter. For speaking, with your vote, I will be that mayor if you think.
Thank you. Mr. Reagan.
First of all, I want to thank everyone for allowing me to be here tonight, just to be able to give some of my opinions on what I feel for Crossville. But one of the first things I would do if I was elected, I want to make sure that we keep morals inside the city council. I also want to make sure that God is first in every decision that is made. We have a prayer session on every council. They have someone from different denominations coming in with prayer. I believe prayer should be the premises on everything that we have and do inside the community, because it's to support each and every member of the community. If I'm elected or not, I'll still will work hand in hand with the city and with the county. I have for the last 30 years. I enjoy my work. I enjoy working with the community. I enjoy doing what I do. More than anything that God has ever given me in my life to do is to better other people's lives to where they can live a better way here in Crossville. And God has really blessed me in being able to do that. And first and foremost, I'll give Him the honor for everything that's accomplished in my life. But I promise you one thing, as I said, elected or not, I'm going to keep doing the things that I do, and premises of the prayer will be my most fundamental thing that I do to serve this community. Thank you.
With that, let's show our appreciation. Gentlemen, thank you for coming out and the elements tonight. We appreciate your thoughts and your concerns. Tomorrow begins early voting. So don't forget, it's time to come down and make that commitment. And with that, it starts at 8 o'clock. Okay, there you go. Thanks to the Playhouse, and thank all of you for coming out, and have a great evening.